This hearing will come to order. First of all, I'd like to thank all the witnesses for your very thoughtful testimony. I've read it and just appreciate you taking the time to be so thoughtful. Want to thank all the people attending this what I consider very important hearing. I do have a written opening statement that, without objection, I'd like to enter in the record. Hearing none, so ordered. The subject of this hearing is complex. That really made an impression on me as I was reading the testimony. I come from a manufacturing background. This, to me, is the definition of a real problem. There are no easy solutions. So the attempt of this hearing is really trying to, in a very honest, very forthright way, lay out the problem and what we need to do to try and grapple with the problem. Let me say, to me, the problem starts with the fact that we do not have secure borders. We have not had secure borders for decades. And that creates the second problem, which is more the subject of the hearing today. And as a result of those borders that are not secure, we have literally we've almost enticed people to come into this country illegally. Now we've got a population estimate somewhere between 11 and 12 million people in this country illegally. That's a problem. That's not good for them. That's not good for this country. That's not good for our national security, for public health and safety. And it certainly does not promote a functioning legal immigration system. So the purpose of this hearing, I think, is laid out just in the title. Deferred action on immigration, implications and unanswered questions. What I'd really like to explore is, obviously, President Obama has now a couple times, through executive action, through memorandums published, deferred action first on childhood admissions, and now he's deferring action on parents of American citizens and other legal permanent residents. The question I have, and I think it's a legitimate question, is are those executive actions, are those going to help the problem, or is it going to exacerbate the problem? Is it going to make it worse? And I think that's a legitimate question to ask. I think we have some history which we'll be exploring. Our witnesses, and I will introduce you before you testify, but we have the Chief Actuary of Social Security to talk about the effects on our Social Security system. We have an expert on tax compliance and tax fraud, which I think will be interesting to hear the effects of the executive actions in that situation. We have a former official of the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, and also and he's a commissioner of the Customs and Border Protection, to find out, is that agency going to be able to cope with the increased number of applications and people seeking this legal status. We have an official with the National Border Patrol Council, basically the union of Customs and Border Patrol agents, and we have a former general counsel of the Department of Homeland Security's predecessor organization, the Immigration Naturalization Services Agency. And again, I think there's going to be some very thoughtful testimony, and I'm looking forward to it. Here's my main concern. If we can put up a chart that we've prepared here, we've seen the results of deferred action in the past. Now, I think it's relatively stark. We had unaccompanied children coming across the border historically, but the numbers were actually declining until basically 2012, when President Obama issued the first series, or his agencies, or his members of his administration issued memos on deferred action on childhood admissions. And I think, just pictorially, graphically, it's pretty stark what the result was. We had a flooding of unaccompanied children to our border, creating that humanitarian crisis. And even though those memorandum did not apply to people coming into this country at that time, that didn't make any difference. And if you take a look at the bottom line there that's in yellow, that's showing the percentage of those unaccompanied children that were actually removed from this country, actually sent back to their countries of origin. You can see how that's declined from 21.4 and 21.7% in 2009, 2010 to only 2.2% in the last year, 2014. So I think this is certainly evidence, and it's my concern that President Obama's deferred action now in this latest round of memorandum could create that same dynamic, actually increase the incentives for illegal immigration, no matter what the memorandums say, actually create the incentives for more people to come into this country illegally, increase the pressure on the border. And again, I think that's a legitimate question to ask. Now, I'd like to conclude my comments by acknowledging the fact that we are a nation of immigrants. We always have been. It has made our nation strong and vibrant. The vast majority of people coming into this country as immigrants, whether legally or illegally, are doing the same for the same reason that our ancestors came here. They are seeking the opportunity, the hope, the promise of this great nation. So I understand that, and we need to value their contributions. But we have to recognize there are literally hundreds of millions, if not a billion or more people that would like to become American citizens, that would like to come to this country. We have to make that a legal process. We have to control that. We have to make sure that what immigration we do allow in this country is done for the benefit of all Americans. And so it's got to be a legal system. So again, I'm looking forward to the testimony. I'm looking for a very thoughtful discussion. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to our ranking member, Senator Carper, for his opening comments.